Thank you so much. I haven't heard exactly what Professor Shah has been telling, but if I'm not wrong, I'm supposed to give kind of a rundown, a scenario of the security situation of Bangladesh for the last 50 years and how it came about. I'm sure most of you have been knowing, but I'm not going to go in the detailed deliberation of each point. No, there are other discussions. Definitely they will pick up if there is any query or anything they need me to explain and expand. Let's look back and see the post-liberation scenario. So it's 16 December 1971 that Bangladesh came through a bloody war of about 9 months. And with remembering that, and I do remember the martyrs and my respect to them, but killed themselves, called Shaheed for the liberation of the country. And also, let me also pay homage to the late father of the nation, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, whose 100-year centenary we are celebrating now, and of course the 50 years of Bangladesh. As I was saying, that in 1971 we got liberated ourselves from Pakistani yoke, and Bangladesh was established on the 16th December. Gentlemen, I'm sure you all of are aware of the world history. There are very few countries in the world which got independence or liberated themselves through a civil war or a war of independence like this. Therefore, as it happens, if you read the history of these countries, the countries remain unstable for a long, long time. But I would say Bangladesh has been lucky. It did not remain unstable for a decade or more. But then it remained unstable right after the liberation. And there were a couple of reasons, and it really remained really unstable. Those of us who have not seen those days, it will be very difficult for them to fathom or going through the history books if they are recorded properly. The Bangladesh immediately faced, soon after the liberation, and particularly with the return of Bangabandhu and formation of the government faced multifarious security situation within that particular small time. First, it was the threat or the internal threat. There was no external threat as per se, but the internal threat of the leftist, extremist, which were operating in the northern part of the Bengal. Seemingly they were connected with the Naxalite movement in the West Bengal, almost in the similar area. And they were the Purva Bangla Sarbohara party. If those of you have forgotten, let me remind you, Purva Bangla Sarbohara party, and the other was Purva Banglar Communist Party. And these are two underground parties which challenged the nascent country's interior or internal security. There was hardly any force to meet this challenge. But then in 1972, the government decided to raise a force known as Rakhi Bahini to tackle this kind of a problem. But the Rakhi Bahini, unfortunately, was not a regular force. It was a militia, mostly made of those young freedom fighters, but they were not under any of the ministry, that they were straightway under the office of then the Prime Minister. Then there was the armed forces, which was just a fresh, a ragtag, new, came out of Liberation War, where, as per Moritz Janowitz, it was a revolutionary army, you can say. So the armed forces was of Bangladesh was unlike India and Pakistan. It was revolutionary force because they participated, initiated, led the Liberation War. And they were not properly organized. They were under strength. So under all these circumstances, it's about 3, 4, 5 years that the Mujib government had to tackle with these leftist forces, and country was torn, in a sense, into a kind of a civil strife, and of course, the afterward communication and aftermath. It took a real force to tackle with them, but it was difficult because these were small band guerrillas. So Rakhi Bahini and the army combined. Again, the police was also not that organized. So combined had to carry out a massive operation, particularly in northern part of the Bengal, Bangladesh. And this definitely led to a lot of other political issues. And in that, one of the party, which was newly formed in Bangladesh, that was Jatiyo Samajtantrik Dal, which is known as JSD, you still hear about them. They, in fact, started arming themselves, saying that the revolution is not finished yet. So is the Communist parties. So we were in that kind of a situation, and it was definitely a big challenge for any government just after a country which started from nothing but with all the communication disrupted. And the leader of Shiraz Sheikh is known as Shiraz Sheikh. Ultimately, he was killed, he was caught, and the underground party started, I would say, waning down. Then came the new issue. The issue was the Bangladesh armed forces and the Rakhi Bahini, tension between these two. And then, of course, the Bangladesh armed forces were deployed to recover weapons which was not surrendered. These weapons were in thousands with the various people, and situation, social situation was very bad. Mugging, there were all kinds of things. Smuggling. 1974 resulted into a famine unprecedented in Bengal. So through all these things, 1975 happened, and you know, a couple of junior officers who were thrown out of the army for various reasons. They went and struck, and entire family of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was killed. And then we came to the era of martial law, that is the military rule. And more or less, the country was, more or less, I would say, was little normal and otherwise. But then it was abnormal. It was unsettled again because of the inner fight in the army itself. So we saw the we saw the counter coup on 3rd of November, and then there was a counter coup on 7th of November, which was some kind, I would say, led by the armed forces of, or armed wing of JSD, along with their organization, secret organization within the army. And that made the whole country unstable again. However, the emergence of Zia, and he tried to stabilize the country and took much effort to stabilized from the internal security, as far as security is concerned. But then there were problems within the armed forces. There were leadership problems within the armed forces. There was a tussle or jostle of the leadership within the armed forces. And in 1981, we saw the tragic death of the President Zia. Again, the army became unsettled. And on 7th November, it was not only army which became unsettled, it was almost outside civilian life was also unsettled. However, after 81, events everybody knows, it became all right. But then, of course, one would not forget or do not delink the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan, and that gave a rise to the Islamic Jihad. Forces from all over the Islamic world, including Bangladesh, had joined under the leadership of Abdullah Azam first, and then the Al-Qaeda chief Osama bin Laden. And when they came back, that became another period of security threat to Bangladesh. When they came back, they formed their own secret organizations. We saw in 2005 the rise of JMB and Jamaat-e-Mujahideen of Bangladesh, and they bombed 63 districts simultaneously. This was a coordinated attack which perhaps Bangladesh was not prepared, and nobody had taken it into account earlier that this one force which is rising, so-called Islamic Jihad, and these are out of the remnants of Afghan war. Bangladesh internal security
Hussain,
became
you
under
have
threat
2 more minutes.
from the Islamic part of it. You want to say anything, Shahab?
2 more minutes, sir.
2 more minutes? I can finish in 1 minute. However, we then saw the rise of IS because of the U.S. invasion of Iraq, and we initially thought that we were out of it, but we found that slowly and gradually our young people have joined them. They took their ideology. There were a lot of secret killing in Bangladesh in the name of extreme Islam, and then we saw the extreme of it was seen in incidents of the holy artisan, where 5 recognized IS operative operated and killed as much as people, and most of them were foreigners, including Italians and the Japanese. And that became another issue of instability. The government was not prepared at that time to tackle such forces, but slowly and gradually the police and the special forces became more strengthened, and somehow still they, I would say, not adequately, but they have tackled this by force. But still the social problem still remains. We still find their formations from here and there, though their activity has been limited to. But then Bangladesh still remains under threat. And then the new issue is Rohingya issue, which is making a different kind of a security problem for Bangladesh, which could be the regional security problem and international security problem in future. The sign and symptoms is already seen. I would end here. Bangladesh, through these 50 years, I would say, had made itself more stable than we could think of. A country where it became totally hopeless in 1974-75. Today it has become one of the model of the world to see, and it's because the resilience of the common people of Bangladesh and young people like Shahab. Thank you very much.